what it is and what it do. That sounded like that Benedict College band of distinction, but I ain't gonna go into that. I ain't gonna go into that. But what's going on? It is another Sunday where we are here with the MEAC'n UP Hour, where we cover the MEAC and the CIAA. Man, before we get started, just want to as always, give some shout outs. I want to give a shout out to all the Aggies out there. North Carolina A&T State University had their what is titled the greatest homecoming on earth this past weekend. And many say it lived up to the name. So shout out to the Aggies. Also a shout out to the Eagles up there in Durham for their homecoming this past Saturday too. And I saw features from both and it looked live and on time. And I wish I could have joined you all, but I didn't. But on that note, just want to say, to all the other schools that may have been celebrating homecoming, if I missed you, it is that season. Shout out to all of you and all our HBCUs throughout the country. So on that, let me pass it to Brother Will McKee. Mackie, you got any shout outs or anything?
No, I would just join you on shout out to all the homecomings across the HBCU landscape and all colleges for that matter. As you said, very close to our locale is GHO, hashtag GHO, greatest homecoming on earth as it's billed. And I hear also being that it lived up to fashion. People are happy to be back after the COVID hiatus. I know we had last year, but it was guarded and limited to some degree for the health of the populace. But hey, people made up for it this year, that it looks like. I tell you, shout out.
All right, all right. And we got none other than the namesake, the commissioner's son, Ken Free
One of the
Jr.
commissioners'
back
sons.
with us in the building. Happy to have you back. You got anything you want to open up with before we dive into this wonderful weekend of football we had, particularly in the CIAA, because it came down to some scores. But you got anything?
Well, I'll just piggyback what McKee said, and it was a good time. And it just shows that we can have a great time. I think it was, I got to see some of it, couldn't see all of it because there's just so much, but even the Townsend State people, I think, saw how homecoming could be or what it should be. So we got some. We didn't get the win, but we got something out of it. It was a good time, and people, you can show you can get a lot of people together and have a good time, and then go home and recover.
No doubt.
Right.
And shout out to the other half of names are not important with Mac and Free, brother Mac D Mac. Hopefully he'll jump on. He works hard in that production studio, so hopefully he'll be on. But shout out to him as you saw the wonderful intro. That's all, brother D Mac. So with that, look, we gonna jump right in it because some things had to be settled in that CIAA this weekend, and I'm gonna run the score so everybody can see. But before we get to the game of the week, which was the showdown with Virginia Union and Virginia State, we had a thriller in that South. And I know, brother McKee, I know it's tough. I don't want to glance over because it was a great game that came down to the wire, to overtime. And it took overtime for the Broncos to come out on top of the Rams of WSSU, who pushed them to the limits. We knew the Rams could score. We knew they were going to put some points up. And that has been a problem with the Broncos this season, but they stepped up to the bail. Winston made an effort at the end to tie it and then blocked the field goal to send it overtime, but just couldn't get to the finish line with the W, man. But Fayetteville State comes out undefeated in conference, the only team in the CIAA to go undefeated in conference. And they're set to go to Salem next week to defend the CIAA championship. Man, give me some thoughts, man. Give me some thoughts.
Man.
I don't know, brother. You hear?
What's that now?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Brother? Okay.
Go ahead, McKee.
Yeah, it was a tough game. I think I said in production that I did not want to cover this game, being that my Rams did not get the W, but they played hard, they fought hard. Um, Came down to, big shout out to Coach Massey for keeping the troops motivated and playing hard to the last snap of the season. That bodes well for the coaching effort that he put in to really keep the kids competing through the entire season. That's not easy. Those of us in coaches who've coached before, you guys know that that's not easy. But Fayetteville State was on that championship drive mentality, we call it in sports, football in particular, when you have something to play for. Each snap means a little bit more. And in that when that last bell sounds, oftentimes that team that is still playing for the chip, still playing for the championship, may give that last little push. And to Fayetteville State's credit, that's what they did yesterday. So salute to the Broncos. Have to salute you, have to congratulate you, and it's going to be interesting to see that defense and Fayetteville State's kind of lack of putting up a lot of points this year, how that bodes against the high-powered Virginia Union arrow attack. I know they can run it, but they not to jump what we're doing. I'm gonna pass it to Ken, but they can throw that ball deep as well as they did yesterday. So it's gonna be interesting to see in Salem, Virginia.
No doubt. Any thoughts, Ken?
Well, hats off to, I think it's the best two teams are playing. I think Virginia Union did. I mean, think about it. They both went on the road to get the wins that they needed to win. Maybe a little shot, but but they proved they the best teams and should be in it. Fayetteville State did what they had to do, and it ain't about how many points you score, just as long as you have the most points than the other team at the end of the ball game. And then with Virginia Union, it's gonna be interesting because that's a tough fight. Both teams had tough, so it's gonna be a lot of recuperating to do. I don't know. I'm not seeing that many points being scored next week, but I've been wrong before. But because they're coming off the road, tough wins, and now we got to get ready and get set. It's not like you got 2 weeks to prepare, so you got a week. So it's going to be interesting how they come into that game. But hats off to Fayetteville State. I mean, hats off to them.
Yeah.
And the best two teams I think got there.
Well,
Probably should be there.
Well, let's look at it, and that's a perfect segue because before we get to the game of the week, Virginia Union's only conference loss came at the hands of Fayetteville State back in September. Now, this was, a couple weeks into the season. We know both teams have improved since then, but it was a low-scoring 10-7 game. So to that point that Ken made, wasn't a lot of points being shuffled out. In the first matchup, we'll see how it goes. Things may have changed with injuries, whatever. It's late in the season. People more into their flow, into their bag. So we'll see. But we know that it's tough to beat a team twice.
Right.
So with that, let me go to the game of the week because in the North, you had the showdown, the Battle of I-95, as they call it. And this one was unlike any other where it had a trip to the CIAA championship game on the line. That's what you want to see in your rivalry games, your neighbors, your in-state rivalries. it don't get no better than to have it. Number one, just the game itself, but then have so much riding on it. That's what you want. I'm excited talking about it, even though I had predicted the Trojans to win the North and win the CIAA. So that championship, but that dream is over. But nonetheless, it was a great battle, two great teams, and Virginia Union came out on top 30-20 and sealed their trip to the CIAA championship. A hot team putting up the past couple weeks before, even putting up 57 points. And they've been on a roll, putting up 30 against a tough Virginia State defense, as well as their defense holding the Virginia State to 20 points after they coming off putting up 75 last week. So, I mean, it's all you wanted, but the Panthers are going to the chip. So right now, I need to go ahead. Let's get some predictions. Now, Brother McKee, I'm gonna come to you first because you predicted the Broncos to repeat. Now, knowing what you know, seeing what you've seen with the Panthers prowling, do you still stand behind that prediction, Brother McKee? What say you?
I do. And let me say before I say that, big shout out also real quick to the Battle of Raleigh yesterday. Wasn't only St. Aug, I mean Shaw did their thing again this year, outlasting St. Aug in the Battle of Raleigh. I had to throw that in there, and y'all see it scrolling at the bottom there. But to your question being, yeah, I have to stand by that because it's only right. I can't change at this point. But I'll say this: timing is everything. We know that the Virginia Union that they saw in week 2,
like 3. It might have been 3, week 3 or 4.
three early in the season.
Early,
Yeah,
it was
it's a
like
different.
opener or something like that.
Yeah, it's a stronger union they're gonna face Saturday. It's a union that found its stride. It's a union that is lethal on the ground and in the air. So it's going to be a football coaching chess match. Who can get who to play their style of ball? Can Fayetteville State, as you guys mentioned earlier, can their defense be so stout that they can pull Virginia Union into a low-scoring defensive battle? Can they do that? Can they slow that air attack down this time? Like you said, Ben, this is the second. I think it was Shalimar with Howard Hewitt, who's a big football fan, who said second time around. It's so much better than the first time. It's so much better. And this
Jody
game, I
Wiley
think this
actually
game,
saying that.
Jody Watley was, she was in the building.
She sang the second time around, and he came back. No, I'm kidding. I'm better.
Yeah. Hey, big shout out to Jody Watley. Love her. But it's so much. It's so much better than the first time, and I think it'll be a Shalimar type Saturday up there in Salem because let me tell you. Like y'all said, there wasn't a lot of deep throws. There wasn't this lethal passing attack being displayed so much in that first meeting. But what I saw yesterday in that aerial attack that they displayed against Virginia State, outlasting them, those were some deep balls, some deep throws, which made the run possible in a much greater detail. Whenever that deep pass is working, then the dives and the off tackles are there because you have to play that pass. So I'm gonna to answer your question and to pass the mic. I'm gonna stick with Fayetteville State. Although let me say, Virginia Union has momentum. They have the big Mo. They have momentum right now. They are balanced in their attack, a lot more balanced than Fayetteville State has been. So I'm going to stick with it. But, hey, it's a toss-up game in my opinion. What say y'all? What say you, Ken?
All right,
Come on,
let me
Ken.
just put it
I know
like
you
this.
wasn't here at the beginning
I'll put it
to
like
make a
this.
prediction, but now you on the spot, baby. You on the spot.
You forget Fayetteville State's won 8 in a row. One of the
They
wins,
have.
Yeah.
in that run was against Union. I think if
Mhm.
Fayetteville State wins ugly, they're gonna keep it ugly. They held
They-
That Virginia Union team, and it was the fourth week of the season. So it's not like, and they were at Union. So it's not like,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it, I think they got the chip on their shoulder. They're defending champs. It's just I think they make it ugly. I think it's one of them ugly where safety wins it. I'm gonna go ahead and say
Oh, wow.
16-14. Fayetteville State pulls
Oh,
it
he
out
put
in an
points out.
ugly one. Because one, if they jump out on it, I think the psychological goes in their heads. Here we go again. You know,
Hey,
it's going to be the
I hope.
mindset and get them in the mindset, get in it. And I think Fayetteville State can think they can win they're in every ball game and can win it, and they supposed to win it. So I'm going
Hey,
16-14. The Broncos repeat as CIAA champs.
I I like that.
We're
I
going.
like that. And before I go into my prediction, I just want to give a shout out to some of the other scores. As we said, the Battle of Raleigh, Shaw U coming out victorious. Shaw put together a couple strong games this year. It's a lot of promise. Shout out to Bowie State, who closed the season with a good win over Lincoln. Livingstone. I think you better watch out for Livingstone in the upcoming years. They started slow, but they finished strong. And I think you better watch Livingstone in that South because they had an impressive win
Mhm.
to close out the season over Johnson C. Smith, who was looking tough, looking like a possible contender early on
Mhm.
in the battle, in the Beltway battle. And then what they call it, the belt? No, I might be wrong. Forgive me, JSU Livingstone fam, if I got that wrong. And then also Elizabeth City State, not only pulling off the shocker against Virginia State, but closing out the season uh, impressively with a win over Bluefield State. So,
Which I think
shout
affected.
out,
I think that affected Virginia State. I mean that
man,
one.
they came out 75-25 the next week. We don't do
But
that. We don't do
it
that.
affected that loss
Hey,
hurt going into that
hey,
game. That loss hurt.
no, they came back and won, put up 75
But
points the
now
next
you
week.
going in there, it's a must win. Instead of being undefeated against Union, now it's a must win at home. It's a
It was
different.
a must win. Either way, if they was undefeated and they
I
lost,
think that.
they wasn't going to be defeated. But
I
let me
I
say
think.
this. Let me say this because I'm gonna go into my pick, and I see y'all picking the Broncos, and I understand that. But there was a group back in the day, and they used to have a song called "The Choice Is Yours." You remember the name of that group? It was the Black Sheep, and I have no problem being the black sheep of the group right now. And I'm gonna go with the Panthers of V Union because I think Winston-Salem State showed that if you put up points, you can push Fayetteville State to the limits and they can be scored on. But the difference is that V Union defense is a little bit tougher, a little bit more experienced to kind of slow what has been throughout the year a struggling Fayetteville State offense. I think now Virginia Union has something to prove. They're coming off momentum, beating their in-state rival for the chance to go to the title game. It would be hard for me to go against the Panthers. Plus, I got to root for them. They beat my pick to win it all. So I'm going with the Panthers. Engine, number 9 on the New York Transit line. If my train goes off the track, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Back on the scene. That's what I'm talking about. So you have, I'm not going to put a score out because that would be crazy. But because that thing could be a baseball score or it could be 34, 31. I ain't gonna do that. Can you bold for that? So, but just to wrap up, anything else
Yeah,
just with what's going on in the CI you want to highlight before we wrap it up? It was a great season, man.
yeah.
Season.
Real
I'm
quick,
surprised.
and I like that. I like that, Ken. I like that picking the score. I like that. I'm gonna have to do that too. I just may do that during the week on the names are not important Facebook page, but I like that. That's a real prediction, if you ask me, when you throw the score out there as well. But let
I'm
me say this
scared, Mike.
real
I'm
quick,
scared,
and
Mike.
then, yeah,
Fayetteville
that's a
State will
tough one, but
not. They will not cover, but it still will be.
yeah, let me say this. So before we move on, I did want to say real quick about that championship game. Y'all mentioned something about Fayetteville State's ability to make it an ugly game, to make it low scoring, to make it a defensive battle. Ken pointed out that hey, this wasn't that early in the season. This was week 4, and it was on the road. So all the reasons why I picked Fayetteville, but he added some texture, some layers to that. That's very good. I'll say this: that game's in Salem, Virginia, correct?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So my crackpot research team just made communication with the Weather Channel. Shout out to the Weather Channel. Please sponsor our show. Please DM us, and that goes for anybody else out there that wants to back and sponsor good television, good HBCU television. Hit us up. You can have a commercial right here. You can be the principal sponsor. Now,
Pioneer.
according,
Pioneer.
thank you. According to what I'm seeing, guys, if the weather holds up to what it's saying, to what the Weather Channel is saying, they got Friday 81% chance of light rain all day.
Uh-oh.
Now Saturday, yeah, Saturday's clear, but if that field is in any way compromised and the drainage system is not like Joe Robbie Stadium in Florida, I think it could lend itself to what you guys, what Ken in particular is saying about what Fayetteville State. That's going to help Fayetteville State tremendously if that ball is wet. Now, one last thing about to your point of being about closing out the CIAA. Just a quick note on that Livingstone Johnson C. Smith game. And please do some research. Check this out. Google this. That is the longest played football rivalry in HBCU football. And it started the game. So whenever Livingstone and Johnson C. Smith get together to play that game, it's a special historical event. And to Ben's point, Livingstone is really cooking with grease, the same grease that cooks those great fish sandwiches on the sidelines at those games. Because as we've been talking about every week, Johnson C. Smith has been playing very well. So Livingstone played a rising Johnson C. Smith program as well. So shout out to the Blue Bears again. Yeah, great season, CIAA. It was a good season. I agree with you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Ken.
It's just been fun. I mean, getting back into it, seeing that, and it's just showing. It's good to see some. It's good to see Elizabeth City win win against, have good wins. It's good to see the parity. It's not like certain conferences where teams are just running away. It's a battle every week, and that was good to see. And it's good to see teams improving. So it makes an exciting week. It's unpredictable, and it makes an exciting week, and it makes people tune in, makes people go to football games, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And shout out once again, because that Johnson C. Smith team came into that game 7-2. That's a good ball club that Livingstone took down. Livingstone has had several impressive wins this year. So don't sleep on the Blue Bears. They finished third in the South, tied with Winston. But of course, Fayetteville State, John C. Smith were 1 and 2. So before we completely close out, just want to throw this out here. We'll talk more about this probably next week once the championships are done and things start rounding out. But you have the Florida Beach Bowl taking place December 13th, where it takes a program from the CIAA versus a program from the SIAC. Now, I will say this. Virginia Union and Fayetteville State are ranked regionally, Division II. They have a strong possibility, regardless outcome, of getting a bid to the playoffs. Do you think they will accept that bid, or there might be a little intrigue to go to the Florida Beach Bowl, as well as, like I say, the qualification is only 6 wins. So you got Johnson C. Smith, who's eligible. You've got Virginia State and Bowie State, as well as teams that are not playing for the championship in the CI, but are eligible for the Florida Beach Bowl. And we know there's other elements that go into that with the business of it, the ticket sales, and who's going to travel. But you think any of these top teams might feel prompted to play in the inaugural? Can it be what the Celebration Bowl is for the MEAC and the SWAC? Just some thoughts as before we transition to the MEAC.
My feelings on it. Look, I think a lot of things you got to take into account, especially with the bowl games. And a lot of that is, they tried it once before, I believe, and it wasn't that successful before. So it's just about where you see your program. Yeah, where do you see your program and where you want to take it or what do you want to do? So it's not, they're not taking the champion. It's pretty much if Benedict or when Benedict wins it, they're probably going to go to playoffs. They're not going to go to this bowl. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I look at it, and with Benedict, where they're ranked, they have a chance to host a couple rounds and winning. And, sometimes teams are more apt to say, hey, we can host, get the gate, concessions, makes more money, which might be more beneficial, but you got to win. So that's tough. Also, when you have teams that a team that's ranked so high, it's kind of hard not to want to see where you're at against the nation, So I think it's interesting. But, with the Florida Beach Bowl, it's open. They only specify the qualifications, 6 wins, and your program has to be in good academic standing, which I like that element too. So I don't know, because the Florida Beach Bowl might say, yeah, Benedict's a great team, but Benedict might not travel as well as a Tuskegee or a Miles. Tuskegee's a 7-win ball club. They were right there. They had a tough loss at Miles yesterday, which took them out of the SIAC championship, but they're still a successful program who's been known to travel well. So, you have these elements. It's going to be interesting, especially after the championship games, to see how things play out with this. So we ain't got to go too deep. I just want to throw it out. That might be start stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, good points, both of you, man. I think it's a numbers game to me. We still don't yet know, and feel free, either you guys or a listener, a viewer to this program, if you know this information, please put it in the chat, share it, send it to us this week. We don't, from what I've seen, we don't know what the payout is for the Florida Beach Bowl. We don't know what's included in that package. So this is why athletic directors which you guys know that game as well. This is why they get paid the big bucks. This is why presidents of colleges get paid big bucks, because to me, it's a numbers game. Because let's be honest, none of our programs in the two conferences that we cover are without the need. All programs need revenue, from Ohio State down. Down meaning financially, not that anybody's down. But we know that 1AA and Division II programs, period, white or black, need money, because the revenue, the ticket gates and the TV deals are not what they are on Division I. Ramp that up more for HBCU Division II program. The numbers are gonna matter. What's the Florida Beach Bowl prepared to pay? I mean, if I'm Benedict, that's all I'm looking at. Because as you said, Ben, I want to go try my wares against the Division II nation in that playoff. I want to do, especially with the team y'all have this year. You want to see how deep you can go if you can win it all, because that's possible. But it depends. Hey, Benedict College, just like all our schools, they need good revenue. So what are you paying Florida Beach Bowl? Salute to you for putting the team together to make it happen. Can't do anything but salute and thank you for that. We need, it's, especially in lieu of what Ken said in the past, that's been a tall hill to climb to make a Division II bowl game successful. But we got to see the numbers. So if I'm the Florida Beach Bowl selection committee, since like we said on a previous show, this bowl is being structured like the old bowl system prior to the playoff system in FBS. It, like you said, they're going to look at how well you travel. They'll do some investigation and some research to see how many fans you took to your away games and make their decision. You were talking before the show started in the green room, Ben, about the location of your alumni bases in South Florida, for example. All of those things go into the pie, the matrix of how the bowl makes their decision and how the schools make their decision on which they accept. Shout out to the schools that are eligible, though, because you had a great year to even be in this discussion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna take a little pause, and then we'll come back, and then we're gonna break down the MEAC. So give us about a minute to recoup, and we'll see you on the other side. Shout out also to Brother Mac again, and remember, the names are not important with Mac and Free Podcast every Friday. So I'm gonna hit you with that. All right, we'll be back in a minute.
Cold fresh air, feel the melody that's in the air.
Yeah, I decided to plug the other intro to show the skills of brother D Mac with the intro game. I forgot to pull our cameras off. It was supposed to flow right in. All right, but that's on me. That's on me. But we're coming back, and I'm gonna cut to the chase, man. And everybody, you'll see the scores running through. But man, once again, man, the Central Eagles looked impressive. 38-24 win over Norfolk State. It was competitive. They're competitive this year. I mean, now, well, I'll get to that later. But As you see, the scores, Morgan State pulled out a close one against Delaware State. South Carolina State pulled out an edge victory against Howard. We call that the battles of the Jeffrey schools. But
Coach
Jeffries,
Willie J.
Willie J. But I just want some thoughts on the Eagles, man. How impressive have they been?
They got a chokehold on the MEAC. I mean, they got a chokehold. I think they're just making it very clear that their program, and it just shows. I mean, what you can build, and you get kids that buy in, and you have impressive wins, and not only that, impressive wins in the bowl game. I mean, that was impressive how they beat Jackson State last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a young coach there that's, I mean, it's a different mentality. And I mean, I think these programs can learn a lot from that. I mean, we need to start. I know we're a stickler for something, but we got to give these young coaches their chances, man.
Yeah.
We got to give these young coaches their chances. They do. Let them they can talk to kids, relate to kids, bring kids in. And that's what that guy's doing. He's doing a great job. Essentially, he's played on that level. He can talk to them at that point. I mean, you got to get these young coaches. There's nothing wrong, I think, reaching out to these black coaches that aren't getting these chances in the NFL or getting these chances on the bowl championship level, and get them to come there, especially the young black coaches, and say, hey, build this, it's just to basically show people like Dion did. Show people I can build a program, I can win. I can get kids in. I can get top kids in. This is what we're going to do. And then you go on, and then, but I mean, you got to go after these. I think just like we recruit kids, you got to recruit coaches.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what they're doing at Central, and they got somebody good and want to keep.
Talk about that typecasting sometimes that plagues our coaches on this level, particularly the HBCU level. And we'll tackle that again once we get through the season. But as you say, celebrate the jobs they're doing, and the other stages need to recognize that job as well, because it's tough to win and win consistently. I don't care what level you're on, to win consistently, to have your kids graduate. Because I don't think Central has had any issues with the graduation rate.
No.
Shout out to the athletic department as a whole. No, I mean, they've been competitive the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking this year to go to their third Celebration Bowl. But before I get your thoughts on that, I wish I had the clapping noise, because we got somebody who has just stepped in the building. And this is who the fans been wanting. They've been asking about. So I'm about to bring them out, as Jay-Z once said, so that we can get his take on what it is and what it ain't. So I bring out to you, brother D-Mac. Names are not it.
But
you look like he's frozen.
Yeah,
Mac,
there's some freezing going on my way. Some technical difficulties. I was just about to try to grab you.
Because you're so chill, brother. Just because you're so chill.
Yeah, we'll call it. We'll call it.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. But brother Mac, you're in Durham. What was the atmosphere around homecoming down there this weekend, and the buzz around Central?
I have absolutely no idea. So
okay.
So no, because I was in Winston-Salem this weekend.
Oh,
Because
okay.
sons playing basketball. They went to the Phenom Jamboree at Rise. So
Okay.
I didn't get any direct atmospheres from either Greensboro or Durham because I was in the environment of both homecomings. But I was so tired because we are now I'm whirlpool around here, man. I'm completely washed. So what I did
Okay.
was I allowed my son to get his hours in for his driver's ed, and I let him drive home, and I did everything in my power to stay awake so he didn't kill everybody in the car. But aside from that,
All right.
I don't know what the atmosphere was like. I wasn't in it. I couldn't see anything. Like I said, it was the same thing for A&T. So I'm definitely the wrong person to ask this weekend. I have no clue.
Come on, man. You've been down there all week, man. They've been partying all week. Come on, man.
I've been
I need
home.
you to
I've been
pull up
home
to
all week.
Uber.
I have not left.
I've been home too, but every time I turn around on somebody's timeline, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that from A&T.
So that was the other thing.
You know what?
That's the other thing too. I
And
kind of
I'm
been
proud
on
of
this,
the Aggies.
but I've been on a little bit of. I'm the wrong person to ask about what was going on this week. I've been on a little bit of a indirect
Ladies and
social
gentlemen.
media sabbatical too. So I hadn't really been on a lot of social media either.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, this is what happens.
Terrible. Yeah.
When you let Sparty in the building. See, this is what happens. All right, Sparty.
So don't blame.
We're gonna let you
don't bring Sparty into this. Sparty ain't had nothing to do with this. This is the outcome of being born 1968 or later. This is part of what happens. You turn 45 and you start seeing the end of the tunnel at some point, and you're like, man, all that partying and stuff I did, it's time to rest. I think I'm just gonna take a break from everything.
That's all right.
And you're tired. You sleep all the time. You yell at kids. You become an Uber driver, but you don't get paid. These are the things that happen.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
We're
gonna put that on the father episode of Names Are Not Important. We're gonna talk about that Uber. But let me throw something out there.
Okay.
Because like I said, I like to stir it up. So I'm gonna let whoever want to jump on this and jump hard on it. But Centrals look dominant. But you know what I smell? I smell a trap game coming up. Because next Saturday, the Eagles travel to D.C. to play a tough Howard team. And you know what it's like.
And they're gonna be Howard. They're gonna be Howard by 44. They're gonna be Howard by 44.
They playing up north. And you saw what happened when they went to Baltimore against the Morgan State Bears. It was a struggle.
That ain't gonna happen again.
It's gonna be a little cold.
Yeah.
Howard's tough. I smell a trap game.
I'm gonna make another prediction.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me give my assessment of the Central game too, real quick. Ken talked about giving credit to these coaches and these programs. I was looking up, there's two words to me that define North Carolina Central. I said this a couple weeks ago. Those two words are Davius Richard. And even if he pronounces it Richard, I respect that. No disrespect. But when you playing this exquisite, you got to be Richard, because this brother is phenomenal. I used to say, when you get a blue chip quarterback in 1AA or Division II, that's 7 wins. That's 7 wins when you steal a quarterback that could have been at a Power 5. And he has the NFL watching. I say this real quickly, then answer your question from my perspective. I was looking over the stats for the game. Norfolk State actually, on paper, outplayed them in almost every facet of the statistics. The analytics people out there, the people that love to look at numbers and make their decisions on 4th and 1. That's happening all across the football world. Norfolk State outplayed them in total yards, I believe rushing and passing maybe. But to Ken's point, and what we've said all year, North Carolina Central has an extra gear. Benedict College has an extra gear. Florida A&M University out of the SWAC has an extra gear. So even if they get outplayed, they know how to do what Al Davis of the Oakland Raiders used to say. They know how to win. They can get out rushed, out passed. They know how to eke out wins. And when they went up to Morgan State, that's a game that most MEAC front-running teams lose at Morgan. How many years did North Carolina A&T, when they were running that dynasty piece with football, they go up to Morgan State and that wind would blow off the Chesapeake water up there at the bay, and before you know it, they would lose. That one MEAC loss would be at Morgan State for factors that we talked about in a previous episode. But the fact that North Carolina Central went to Baltimore and won, they were not upset that night. That's all the more reason why they will not have a slump in D.C. They will go to D.C. They will handle business like the business people that they are. And they will show that extra gear. Davius Richard will not let his troops sleep. They will listen to some good go-go up there. They will have some wings with some mambo sauce up there, and they will bring the MEAC belt back to Durham. That's what they're going to do. And I'm going to answer the question that you asked a little earlier briefly, and I'm going to pass it to D. You could tell by the Facebook traffic, by the IG traffic, and by the swag that's coming out of Durham right now. They did not care one iota that there was any other homecoming games yesterday. And I'm not going to say any names because they weren't mentioning any names because they were so focused on their own good time and campus. They were so focused on who were they playing? Norfolk State. They were focused on the green and gold. That they did it big. Ninth Wonder brought in D Nice. He brought in D Nice. They did it big. So the electricity, I felt it all the way here. So the Eagles are flying.
You
baby.
seen them stick set on the yard, boy. That thing was massive.
Massive.
Move. That's right. Fly, Eagle, fly.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Matt. You or Ken, either or.
Go ahead,
I just
Ken.
gotta say Greensboro was shut down. Anyway, I was just saying that. I think Durham was still running. But
It's only because of location. It's only because of location.
But anyway, I'm just
Y'all a little
going.
closer to downtown.
McKee said it all. McKee said it all that needs to be said. They discipline. I looked at the stats too. McKee is absolutely right. The difference of the ball game though was the value of the possessions that Central had, and they took advantage of every possession that they had, and penalties.
Yeah.
They kept their penalties down.
They did.
Which shows discipline and shows what you said about that quarterback efficiency and getting the job done. They're going to beat Howard by 20-some points. So my prediction, 42-20, North Carolina Central. They cover. They get the over.
Oh, let me write these down.
Everything. They get everything. They cover the spread. They get the over. Get the over on the over-under. Because Central is playing well. They don't want to end that streak. They're going straight for the Celebration Bowl to whoop up on whoever they play against in the Celebration Bowl. Like I said, man, that guy's got. I don't know what what he's doing, but those kids are prepared, ready. They jump right off of that UCLA loss and haven't skipped a beat. And it helps with what McKee said when you got an outstanding quarterback. When you got a chief that if he ain't sweating, the chief ain't sweating, the Indians ain't gonna sweat. Oh, excuse me,
right.
the indigenous people are not gonna sweat. So
Thank you. Thank you.
uh,
Please be correct on this.
I'm just saying, man. It's just like but like Daddy used to say, when the plane starts shaking, I look at the flight attendant. If they cool, I'm cool. Now if they start panicking, yeah.
That's right.
They
That's right.
cool. If them flight attendants cool, I'm cool. That quarterback cool, they gonna be cool.
Look,
42-20
look.
Central MEAC champs.
Well, look. I listen. I like it. I like it. I like it. And look, I'm pulling for the Eagles. They my prediction. But something about next week has the smell
Ben,
of a trap, man. But we'll
Ben,
see.
Ben.
We'll see. I don't want to put that energy in the air. The Eagles
Hey,
fans are
Ben.
bad at. I got a claw come down on the back of my neck just a minute ago. It's Eagle claw. Go ahead.
Ben, the Howard people, they're saying the same thing you're saying. We're gonna make our season next week by being, we're gonna take y'all down a notch. But I'm gonna quote North Carolina Central University alumnus Sunshine Anderson when she said,
Come
"I
on.
heard it all before."
Come on. Come on.
Everybody this year said that they were gonna clip eagle wings, and as Ken just said, they walked through everybody they played, with the exception of
Morgan
the
State.
Bruins and Morgan State. And Morgan State. So how could I'm with Ken, I'm with you on that one. I think they're gonna handle business and they're gonna get ready for Atlanta. It's a
You know
celebration.
what the Bison are saying? You know what the Bison are saying?
What?
They say, "Come on, baby, work that body." They got the go ready,
Who was
and
that?
they talk about the
Backyard?
body, the body snatchers, the body snatchers. Snatching bodies, what we at? No, let me stop. Shout out to Rare Essence, Pure Elegance, Backyard,
The what band?
and
New Impressions.
New Impressions.
Central gonna
You
make
know what I'm
a
saying?
Central gonna make an impression next week.
I forgot to call you on you. We ain't gonna go there. Birthday. No.
Shout out to Terrorized Speed for New Impressions.
I'm looking at the time, running my mouth, singing. But shout out and yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, and they have proved that. That I don't want to overlook that. They've been everywhere, and they played one of the tougher schedules. They went to Elon, beat Elon. They had Campbell at home, played them tough. Went on the road to Morgan, played UCLA. They played A&T at T. So they've had
Yeah, man.
so
That
yeah,
quarterback's
and they're
tough,
looking
man. It's
strong.
hard.
And that's one of the things. Like sometimes you see teams toward the end, going toward the end, see they got to eke some out, win some ugly, but they look like they have continued to get better every week. Like speaking of new impressions, they make a new impression every Saturday. Because you kind of sitting like, all right, is this the one where they struggle and then they come out and
You
38-24.
let me just say that
Go ahead.
I think Morgan State humbled them a little bit. The game humbled them a little bit. They needed to be humbled just a little bit. But when you walking through you going for your third straight? I mean, and nobody's really coming close to you. Them guys are just playing at a different level, man. And it's an Aggie. It's hard to even admit it, but I mean, I got to admit it. I mean, McKee, I don't know what you think. I mean, it's just they got that swagger that you thankful for a Morgan State game that just say, guys, that just goes to show you got to bring it every week. And I think that Morgan State game was what they needed to just keep them focused and be like, y'all stuff don't smell all that good. It's
Yeah.
smelling pretty good, but it's not all that good.
Yeah.
And Allah be merciful because that what they gonna do to Howard. I mean,
Shout out to the nation. And when I speak the nation, please don't make the deviation. Mac, anything before we get McKee, do we have a highlight this? I didn't even check in the green room.
Oh yeah, but we'll hear from Mac after
All right.
that. We
Go ahead,
ready
Mac.
to
You
go.
got anything? You got anything to add to that, Mac? Or?
No, I don't have anything to add, man. I think everybody's in the right place. Great, you know, we don't have to say it when A&T has a homecoming and shuts Greensboro down. It was a little different. I heard about the Central homecoming in Winston, so there you go. So I assume it went well. I would hope it went well for the Eagles, and I would hope it went well for the Aggies as well. I haven't heard about any shootings, so
Oh Lord,
I
God.
think they went great.
Now, why you? So,
Yeah, see,
where the heck did that come from?
see,
You see what?
see.
Look, listen.
When
I
let
say no.
Smarty in the
I say
door.
that not to take. Hold on. Let me. I say that not to take a shot. Not well.
No
Not at
No
pun,
Aggie.
pun intended. Not to take a shot.
no
Yeah,
pun
right.
intended.
Right.
Not at Aggies or Eagles. If I'm being completely honest, that shot is at our local news media, because had there been a shooting, they would have been all over it, and 37 people could have got killed at UNCG's homecoming, and we wouldn't have heard nothing about it.
Yeah.
So that's a shot at the
That's right.
news media. That's not a shot at Aggies or Eagles this week. That's a shot at
Uh,
our local news
we
media.
don't,
Well,
I hadn't
we're
heard
gonna
but
keep
anything,
let's.
on.
so they
Yeah,
went well.
I'm just messing with you, D. And before we get to William too, I just cannot wait. So I think the Howard Central game is televised, so need to check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
think it
may
is
be
on
on.
ESPNU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
It may be
people check
not
this quarterback
showing.
out.
It's not showing just yet. It may be on Plus. I'm not sure. They haven't. Well, the
I,
MEAC hasn't
I think it's on the
posted
U.
it yet, but it could
I think
be.
it's on the U.
So we'll
I think
keep an
it's on
eye.
the U.
It's a 3:30 game on Saturday.
Yes.
So we'll see. So it might be on the ESPN Plus.
No, it's
Might be.
ESPN
No, it's on the
ESPNU.
U. It's
It's
on
on
the U.
What's on
ESPNU.
you? They've
Yeah,
already told. Okay. See, MEAC, I need to love you, MEAC. I need y'all to update
yeah.
some stuff.
The
But
Delaware State game is on Plus. The Howard game's on you.
okay. Love you. I need y'all to get that. That's how you get
What'd
yourselves
you say,
out.
Ben?
You gotta have that stuff ready. Come on, MEAC. No, I'm playing. But shout out to them. So before we close out, as we always like to do, you know, here at the MEAC'n UP Hour, it's not totally about what goes on the field, within the lines, in the gym, or what have you on the track. We also like to highlight the excellence off the field and some of the impactful things that these institutions are doing. So with that, I'm gonna pass it to Brother Will McKee to give our highlight of our HBCU.
I got to get myself together after that, Ben. Now, hey, that with that last little bouncer there that was rich with so much. I'm gonna go ahead and say you can't just get this anywhere. That was an internal discussion on air, like on several levels. I was gonna quote former President Bill Clinton, who said, "When you're in a hole, don't ask for a bigger shovel. Quit digging." I'm gonna leave that right there. This week, for our each week we highlight a HBCU academic program or a capital campaign of sorts that a HBCU in the CIAA or the MEAC has going on at this time. This week we'll highlight the Winston-Salem State University, who has recently received a 2.6, well, it's actually a $5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy and the National Science Foundation to develop a quantum information science and engineering curricula to help grow a diverse workforce for the emerging field of technology in the Carolinas. Additionally, WSSU has been awarded an additional $5 million, well, from the NSF, that's who I just mentioned. I just put that all in the beginning. This grant is to establish and develop its quantum information science and engineering programs. So as you can see, our institutions in the MEAC and in the CIAA and in the entire stratosphere of HBCU existence impact the state and the entire nation with its research and its economic impact. Shout out and salute to WSSU.
All right.
No doubt.
Amen.
Well, on that note, man, it's been another power for the
Oh,
hour.
Ben,
Yo,
and remember, basketball season starts tomorrow. College
Yes,
basketball.
sir.
well, some tipped off Friday. So we in the midst. So we gonna get to that because we know that's where we gonna get into it. And I'm gonna give a warning to our fans. You know, myself, Ken, and D, we've all coached basketball. So these arguments might get very intense. We're giving a warning. So football, we stay a little humble. That's McKee's lane. He's the ex-college football player. But these might get intense. So we're just giving the heads up. But we celebrating, no doubt, just coming together and doing this to highlight these institutions in the MEAC, CIAA, and our love for them. And shout out once again to Swack and the Fool and what they're doing, the inspiration for this show, the SIAC, once again, those Benedict Tigers, another undefeated regular season. So good luck to those teams competing in the championships this weekend, the CIAA championship, Virginia Union, Fayetteville State, and then the SIAC championship, Benedict College versus Albany State. So shout out to those institutions. We know you're proud of your student athletes. And that's all I got. Anybody else got anything to wrap up with? Any final shout out?
Just to clarify, we won't get Skip and Shannon heated. I want to make sure that the audience understands that. Like, so you decide to take a personal shot. You decide to take a personal shot at me. Okay.
B. Come on, B.
Free. So you gonna take a personal shot. Okay. We gonna refrain from that kind of answer, but it's gonna get heated.
Cause
we gonna argue amongst champions, okay? What did you win? We gonna do that.
Ken, if you say it fast enough, Ken sounds a lot like Skip. Ken. No, stop. I'm joking. But no, I'm joking. Go ahead. Anybody else? Back.
Yeah.
McKee.
Real quick. As Ben mentioned, shout out to the Swack and the Fool podcast that highlights the SWAC. I just want to mention them real quick as we pivot into basketball. I had sent SWAC and the Fool several months back a piece on my uncle, former MEAC Commissioner Ken Free, and the love that I got back from the SWAC family on how his name is revered down there. It was triple digits, which started the discussion with Ben. In fact, it was a Southern University supporter that DM'd me directly and said, the MEAC and the CIAA needs a show in your uncle's name. So big shout out to the SWAC and how they appreciated his work with Dr. Frank. And listen, y'all, this is a unique discussion that'll be had through basketball because we all grew up at the MEAC tournaments every year and saw the battle that it took to have that tournament and to make it successful, the automatic bid. It's going to be real interesting for basketball, y'all. Yeah.
But I don't want us to leave and have that discussion about bowl versus playoffs in football. So
no, that's coming next week. Once we get through the championships and we see what moves are made, that's where we're going with it next week. It's still football season technically, but we're gonna touch on some D-ball. But other than that, man, hey, we appreciate everybody tuned in. Remember, names are not important. You can catch us on Friday. Go to the Facebook page. Names are not important with Mac and Free. You can also go to Mac and Free on Instagram and check us out. And then you got Names Are Not Important on YouTube to watch all the shows. in the past seasons. So with that, I want to say thank you to my brothers for jumping back on. I appreciate you, and we're gonna do it again next week. We'll holler.
Deuces.